After a year-long manhunt, Israeli media reported that Sinwar, a prime target for Israel, had been killed by chance by regular IDF soldiers, not as the result of a targeted operation. Sinwar was reportedly killed in combat alongside two other militants on Wednesday in the city of Rafah. Like and subscribe NewzClub for more updates. Israeli troops took Sinwar's body to Israel for DNA and dental record testing. Once there was confirmation of his identity, Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, and his government celebrated the death of Sinwar as the beginning of the end but made clear that the war, which has killed more than 42,000 Palestinians in Gaza, is not over. The mission ahead of us is still unfinished. Yesterday, Israel confirmed that its forces had killed the Hamas leader, Yahya Sinwar, architect of the October 7 attacks that killed 1,200 Israeli civilians and in which a further 250 were taken hostage. Every day that the war in Gaza continues, civilians face death and contend with catastrophic conditions. Just yesterday, reports emerged of an Israeli airstrike that killed at least 28 people sheltering in a school in Gaza City. The attack comes amid accusations Israel is attempting to forcibly expel the remaining population in a renewed ground campaign in the north of the territory. Earlier this week, widely shared footage showed Shaban al-Dalu, a teenage Palestinian, who was attached to an Ford drip burning to death in a blaze caused by an Israeli strike on a hospital in Gaza. The elusive leader of Hamas managed to evade death for the last year, hiding mostly in tunnels in Gaza, despite being the Israeli military's #1 target since the October 7 attacks. Sinwar was born in a refugee camp in Khan Yunis in 1962. His family had been forced to flee and became refugees in 1948 during what Palestinians call the Nakba catastrophe. Sinwar became an Islamist activist and joined Hamas in the 1980s when it first formed. He was arrested not long afterwards and given 4 life sentences for attempted murder and sabotage. Sinwar spent 22 years in Israeli jails, where he learned Hebrew and read Israeli news. After he was released in a prisoner swap in 2011, he married, had children and returned to Hamas. Sinwar's death will renew hopes for a ceasefire, but there seems to be little appetite in Israel's government for the war to end. Benny Gantz, an opposition politician, said Israel's military will continue to operate in the Gaza Strip for years to come. Yahya Sinwar's younger brother, Muhammad, is believed to still be alive and highly influential, and a natural successor. Another candidate is Khalil al-Hayya, the deputy leader of Hamas in Gaza, who has been one of the lead negotiators during ceasefire talks in Qatar. The third potential option is Khalid Mashal, a former political head of Hamas, regardless of who will succeed Sinwar. Hamas will be in disarray. The casualties sustained among its fighters and the gutting of its leadership mean it will not be easy to recover for the militant group. It is of course too soon to be sure of the full consequences of this moment in the war, but it will probably mark a shift in this bloody conflict.